The emperor paused and looked around him, and although the faces of his counsellors still looked blank, he boldly proceeded, "But to return yet again to this black scroll containing the names of those nations who approach our frontier, here occur more than one with which methinks old history should make us familiar, though our recollections are distant and confused. It becomes us to know who these men are, that we may avail ourselves of those feuds and quarrels among them, which, being blown into life, may happily divert them from the prosecution of this extraordinary attempt in which they are now united. Here is, for example, one Robert, styled Duke of Normandy, who commands a goodly band of counts, with which title we are but too well acquainted. Of earls, a word totally strange to us, but apparently some barbaric title of honour, and of knights, whose names are compounded, as we think, chiefly out of the French language, but also out of another jargon which we are not ourselves competent to understand. To you, most reverend and most learned patriarch, we may fittest apply for information on this subject." "The duties of my station," replied the patriarch Zosimus, "have withheld my riper years from studying the history of distant realms. But the wise Agelastes, who hath read as many volumes as would fill the shelves of the famous Alexandrian library, can no doubt satisfy your imperial majesty's inquiries." Agelastes erected himself stoutly on those enduring legs which had procured him the surname of Elephant, and began a reply to the inquiries of the emperor, rather remarkable for readiness than accuracy. "I have read," said he, "in that brilliant mirror which reflects the time of our fathers, the volumes of the learned Procopius, that the people separately called Normans and Angles are in truth the same race, and that Normandy, sometimes so called, is in fact a part of a district of Gaul, more properly termed Britain. Beyond, and nearly opposite to it, but separated by an arm of the sea, lies a ghastly region, on which clouds and tempests for ever rest, and which is well known to its continental neighbours as the abode to which the departed spirits are sent after this life. A few fishermen, men possessed of a strange character and enjoying singular privileges in consideration of their being the living ferrymen who perform the office of the heathen Charon, carry the spirits of the departed to the island which is their residence after death. At the dead of night, these fishermen are, in rotation, summoned to perform the duty by which they seem to hold the permission to reside upon this strange coast. A knock is heard at the door of his cottage, sounded by no mortal hand. A whispering, as of a decaying breeze, summons the ferryman to his duty. He hastens to his bark on the seashore, and has no sooner launched it than he perceives it sensibly express the weight of the dead with whom it is filled. No one is seen, and though half-formed voices are heard, yet the accents are undistinguishable, as of one who speaks in his sleep. Thus he traverses the strait between the continent and the island, impressed with the mysterious awe which affects the living when they are conscious of the presence of the dead. They arrive upon the opposite coast, where the cliffs of white chalk form a strange contrast with the eternal darkness of the atmosphere. They stop at a landing place appointed, which is never trodden by earthly feet. Here the passage boat is gradually lightened of its unearthly inmates, who wander forth on the way appointed to them, while the mariners slowly return to their own side of the strait, having performed for the time this singular service, by which they hold their fishing huts and their possessions. Here he ceased, and the emperor replied, If this legend be actually told us by Procopius, most learned Agelastes, it shows that that celebrated historian came more near the heathen than the Christian belief respecting the future state. Why, this is little more than the old fable of the infernal Styx. Procopius, we believe, lived before the decay of heathenism, and as we would gladly disbelieve much which he hath told us respecting our ancestor and predecessor Justinian, so we will not pay him much credit in future in point of geographical knowledge.